What's up guys, Peter here from Reviews on Anything, and today we're having a look at the Volkswagen Up that you see here behind me. My Skoda Superb is at the garage today for some service and they gave me this as my loaner car. So I got the car for the day and I thought I would do a quick review on it. Now I drive a Skoda Superb in daily life like I said, and this is obviously in no way comparable to that except the fact that it has 4 doors and a steering wheel. But this is very good as a secondary car, a car for in and around town, the school run, the shopping run. You name it, this car is right at home there. Small package, small engine, small economy, so very budget friendly. It already starts at just over 11,000 euros here in Holland if you buy a new one. And of course with some toys they get more expensive, but you can go all the way up to the GTI version. That's, you know, the full banana so to speak, for almost 20,000 euro plus probably some more toys. So a very wide range of possibilities with this car. Now obviously this is the smallest car that the Volkswagen Group makes. This particular one is the Up from Volkswagen, but you have the same exact model from Skoda and Seat as well, obviously within the Volkswagen Group. It's all the same car, just a different sticker and probably a few different trim levels. But overall, it is a small little fun car to drive around and in and around town. Certainly not meant for any kind of long distance work, even though it's certainly possible, but there's other cars for that are more suited to the job. Now let's get in, take a tour around and then take it for a drive and see what it's like. So here we are inside the Up, and as you can see it is just as you expect. It's a small car, mostly suited, you know, for 2 people here, because you can see that the room in the back is heavily compromised now. But if you move these seats forward, there is room for a kid and some groceries and some bags in there. This one has a bit of carbon fiber trim here on the dash. That's a bit tacky in this case I think, but you know, if you like that, that's kind of nice. You got the same color as on the outside here on the doors, and overall, you know, the materials feel what you would expect from a car like this, but also what you would expect from a brand like Volkswagen. So it's, you know, cheaper plastic, I'd say. You know, it's still a cheap car, but it's not terrible in any way, shape or form. You can see that Volkswagen has done a few smart things in order to keep the cost down. For example, the entertainment unit right here doesn't have navigation or anything on it. That comes with your phone. The holder here comes with the car, and they say, well, that's much easier because your phone is always up to date, and that means we don't have to build in an expensive navigation screen and so on, keeping the cost down, which you could argue about, but it is, you know, a way to keep the cost down. And if you can shave 1,000 euro off the price of an 11,000 euro car by not putting a fancy navigation system in, that's a good thing, I think, because, you know, the target audience for this particular kind of car might not care so much about a giant navigation screen if they can also use their phone just like that. So, you know, there's a lot of smart features like that around the car that make it more affordable. Overall, I'm comfortable here. I'm 183, 6'1", and well over 200 pounds, over 90 kilos, and I'm comfortable in here. You know, it's not as roomy obviously as my Skoda Superb, but you know, the seats are fine. I can sit reasonably well, can reach the pedals well, steering wheel is all good. So, you know, it's, for what it is, it's an okay place to be. Nothing spectacular, nothing going wrong here either. So overall, you know, it's a good place to sit and drive around. You have good visibility all around, as you can see. There's quite a lot of light coming in, which is exactly what you need in a car like this, because like I said, you'll be operating this mostly in and around the city. So then you obviously want to have a good view out, which you certainly do, especially with these big, you know, windows, relatively speaking, to the size of the car, which is nice. So what's it like to drive the Volkswagen Up? Well, I have to say, having been driving with this car for you know, a little under a day now, it is exactly what you can expect from a small little car like this. You know, obviously there's no comparison between my Skoda Superb, because that's just an entirely different car. But from what you want from this car, I think it delivers everything that you want it to deliver. The engine, you know, it's not a huge powerhouse or anything, but it's certainly zippy enough because the car is small and light anyway. So, you know, in and around town, in and around traffic, it's fantastic. It's fast enough, it's punchy enough. Even low down, there's enough torque for such a small engine. So, you know, nothing to be desired there, I think. You can go obviously for the GTI version that has, I think, almost 120 horsepower. That's not really necessary in a car like this, certainly not for everyday use, even though it might be a lot of fun actually. But this one, you know, I don't really know what this engine spec is exactly, but it's fast enough and fun enough as well. And obviously the benefit of a small engine is good fuel economy, and that's something that you want from this car in the end as well. Because it is, let's say, a cheap car. Cars are never cheap, but it's an inexpensive car. So you want it to be cheap to run, cheap to buy, cheap everything. And that is exactly what a small engine does for you. If we pull now, that's all the way to 6,000 RPM redline. You know, that's 80 kilometers an hour in second gear. So it does that, you know, I wouldn't say without a problem, but just fine. So if you do need to go for a gap in the city or something, you'll be okay. I have good visibility all around, like I said already, especially driving in town. That is exactly what you want. The instruments are clear and easy to read, and obviously there's not too many controls and too many things going on. So it's all nice and simple, and it's all exactly where you think it will be, and it does exactly what you think it will do. So, you know, practicality wise, inside it works very well thought through, which is something, you know, you can expect from the Volkswagen group, I think, because, you know, they make so many cars and so many different kind of cars. They put good thought into how to use the ergonomics around you. In front of me, the dials, the rev counter, speedo, and the fuel gauge. You know, it is really all you need. There's a tiny screen in the speedo as well for all your sort of trip computer information. And that is it. You even get oil temperatures and stuff if you really want to, but nobody will ever really look at that. And then, you know, you have your media system and your phone where you do all your navigation and other things. So, you know, when you have that set up nicely and talking to each other, it works really well. Now, this being a little city car, it is certainly not the case that you cannot use this car anywhere else but the city. You know, it has plenty of power to be fine on the highway. And when I say plenty of power, you have to take it with a grain of salt, of course. You will not be, you know, storming the German autobahns in this. But it has enough power to go and deal with normal traffic, normal overtaking, and so on. So you'll be fine driving in between cities as well. It's a different story driving to the Swiss Alps. I wouldn't pick this car for that. I think if you're really pressed, of course, it's not impossible. But there's certainly other cars that do that much better. Steering is nice and light, especially at low speed. You can really operate it with one finger. So that's, you know, great as well. Again, fitting its environment perfectly. And obviously where this car really comes to life is in parking structures, in tight parking spaces. It's not a big car. It's not a smart car or anything, but it's certainly not a big car. So parking is easy, and again, with the good visibility all around, you should have no problem parking it anyway. Even though you can get it actually with parking sensors if you really want to. So after a day in the Up, would I buy one? Yeah, I think so. It's a car that fits its intended purpose, and I think as long as you have your expectations at the right level, this is a perfectly fine car to own as a secondary car, or as sort of a first car, a first step into the Volkswagen brand. If you live in a city, if you don't drive too far, this is perfect. For us it would be very good as a secondary car, but I can imagine if you do actually live in a city and you never really come out that far, then this would be a perfect option as well. Like I said, cheap to buy, relatively speaking, cheap to run in terms of fuel economy and taxes, and overall it's a package that works, it's reliable, it's solid, and it gives you all the space that you will effectively need, barring any, you know, children or giant shopping trips. This will definitely fit. This is Peter from Reviews on Anything with a quick look at the Volkswagen Up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to the channel, that always helps us out a lot, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers!